All right, so AC 2-inch springs in the front and LandRover 9448 springs in the back. Okay, so this is the front driver's side, ground to fender well height with the stock springs and 31.6-inch tires. It's 33.5 inches. And okay, so this is the front passenger side, ground to wheel well fender, about 33.5 inches with stock springs and 31.6-inch wheels. All right, this is the front cross member. I think that's what it's called. And it has 11 inches of ground clearance with stock springs and 31.6-inch tires. So about 11 inches of ground clearance with stock springs and 31.6-inch tires. Okay, so these are the stock springs. They are about 15 inches tall, and to the right are the automotive customizer springs, and they are about 16.5 inches tall. And there are more coils. So the stock springs have 1, 2, 3, 4 coils in between the bottom and top, and the automotive customizers springs have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coils between the top and bottom coils. So 1 extra coil, and in it the coils might actually be thicker on the automotive customizer springs. It kind of looks like it's thicker. Yeah. And here are some optional parts. You can get a set of camber adjustment bolts here, and a camber indicator, and you'll need a 10mm socket, a 14mm socket, 17mm socket, 15mm socket, 22mm socket, 17mm wrench, a hammer, a thick screwdriver or pry bar, socket extension, and strut compressor. So this is a single action strut compressor, easy to use, and these are the other type of strut compressors. I forget what they're called, but twice as much work, because you'll have to tighten each compressor separately. But with this single action, you just tighten, you compress by rotating this bolt. All right. The camber adjustment tool needs to be calibrated, and you mount it to a horizontal or level surface, and rotate it until it's level. And then rotate the adjustment knob until the bubble goes to 0 camber. All right. Remove the brake hose from the strut assembly. Screwdriver and a hammer. Remove the ABS sensor cable from the strut assembly. And remove these 2 bolts and nuts. I'm using a breaker bar. Oops, wrong way. Okay, that came loose. This bolt is loose. This one's still kind of tight. Hammer. remove this link from the strut assembly. Wrong size wrench. Oh, 19mm wrench. I need a deeper socket. A deeper socket. I'm trying to get leverage. Right tool, right size. So that is loose. Cable's loose. Brake cable is loose from the strut. Knock out these two bolts. Okay, both bolts are loose. Now to unbolt the top of the strut. $10mm socket to remove this. Where's the other one at? Bend this out of the way. $14mm socket. To remove the strut. Nuts loose. Okay, compressing the springs. Alright, you want to compress to under 11 inches. So that's under 11 inches. Try to have at least 2 coils in between your arms, your compression arms. 2 coils. So that's what it looks like. The next step is to remove the strut piston nut. And you'll need a way to keep this from spinning. And what I usually do is use a screwdriver and a nut. It came loose. Hammer loose if necessary. Alright. Strut and spring separated. Now to slowly decompress the tool here. Alright, compressing the AC springs. I have 3 coils in between the compression arms. Okay, so the spring has been compressed to about under 11 inches, and I lined up the mark on this cap to this piece down here, and I'll give you a better picture later. And the strut cap, it has a notch, so you have to line up that notch with the strut bolt, or the piston bolt. So now it's time to tighten the strut nut, and then to decompress the spring. Okay, so this is the reassembled strut assembly. So this mark should line up with this mark, which is left or right. Okay. So this front driver's side tire has a 0 camber now, according to the level. And if I tilt the tire slightly outward, that's a positive camber. And then slightly inward, negative camber. Negative camber is not really great for driving in a straight line, I think. And whenever a vehicle has its springs changed to lowering or lifting springs, the camber gets out of whack. So sometimes you'll get negative or positive camber, and the way you correct that is so for the Nissan R50 Pathfinder QX4, you can use adjustable camber bolts, and that's one, and it has these tabs. So this tab in this position will push the strut and spindle toward the vehicle this way, and then the bottom bolt will push out. So that way you'll be able to reduce camber, because with the lifted springs, it tends to introduce too much positive camber, and then the tires will stick out away from the vehicle like this. So positive camber, this is negative. And you can see the bubble. See, rotating. This is the cross member height clearance after AC spring install, 13¼ inches. Before with stock springs, it was around 11 inches of clearance. And ground to fender passenger, front passenger, is around almost 36½ inches, and before it was 33½, so about 3 inches of improvement or height increase from the AC springs. So 36¾ before it was 33½ with stock springs. Now after AC springs, it's 36¾ inch. You know, I forgot to take this measurement. The running board, it's around 15 inches at the front, and at the back it's around 16 inches. (16 inches at the back for the running board. (15 inches at the front of the running board.